Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think the proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spartan SQ Network. This is Operation Hangout. I am your host, Ghost of Sparta. Of course, I cannot do this by myself. I got my little trusted helper here. Of course, we know him as Black David, CBN, Bearpaw. At this channel, he's known as Little Groot.
Ladies and gentlemen, he called me Little Groot, but my partner name is Bear Paw. I am 6 foot.
Whoa! You get a Spartan name when I approve that shit. Because I'm the only real Greek fucker on this network.
I know, but how can I be Little Groot when I'm 6 foot tall, about 280 pounds? There's nothing little on me.
Sounds like a personal problem, dude.
So I'm more like a African bear. So when I say Bear Paw, shout out to Reckless Ray for giving me that nickname, because if I tap a hand grip, a lot can happen. If you know what I mean.
I'll give you Baby Paul. Oh, that's not.
Ain't no be Baby Paw. I ain't short. Get that to
All right,
man,
guys. This show tonight is brought you by Black David. Actually, he has this topic in his mind for a while, so I'll give him the floor and see what he has to say. This is your idea, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic where we're going into the franchise of the Transformers, but we're also to a particular character, because this character right here is one of the reasons why this franchise lasts for so long. I remember we talked about it on our last episode when we talked about the Transformer. How, I don't know, how you want to say it? You don't kill a particular character, send a huge massive number of kids going haywire. And I'm referring to the Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobot, which is ironic how big of a name this guy really is, but it happens. So imagine this character have gone through multiple changes. I'm not gonna lie. How I want to put this?
Just
We
say
talked
it.
about it before. It was a toy line trying to sell, capture kid minds, kid heart. And the most iconic character is Optimus Prime himself because he was a quiet individual before he got promoted into leadership. He lead the Autobot get the Decepticon. His character is so, I don't know. Can you say hypnotic or what you can use? Because somehow every other character, you got Bumblebee, you got Starfire, you got Megatron. Just his character for some reason, it captured the kid's heart so much to the point whereby you're not allowed to kill it. If you did, what they did that, and you and I both know how far that thing went, and how much publicity they were forced to bring it back because you cannot replace them. That had been a naysay for multiple years, based on so many reboots. And I'll be trying to figure out, okay, so this guy is so much of a big deal. What about this character means so much to these people, and why? What is the issue behind this dude? So we want to have that discussion, but before you have that discussion, you want everybody to come in, take their time, get your feet wet into this conversation. You know you're a Transformer major fan. I'm not trying to hurt your feeling, but I'm just trying to call out what it is. Now, in my view, this right now, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this guy.
David, hang on a second. Time out. Anytime you
My
turn
bad.
away from your mic,
I know
I
my
barely
camera.
hear you.
Sorry, I was trying to do something on my phone at the same time talking, but how would I put this? I had some weird issue with Optimus Prime. Don't get me wrong.
Really?
I grew up. No, when I say it's not bad, but it's weird. I grew up watching him for the longest. Cool character. They have not really done a excellent job expanding on their personality. They're almost, I want to put it, you know how you say a certain character put in a box, but don't give you a free reign to explore the range of that character compared to Megatron?
Absolutely.
It made Optimus Prime the I hate to say that the ultimate goody two shoe of all characters. Other yet, he what you call the type of army general who hold himself on a higher pedestal not to break rules, not to break ranks, unless it's necessary. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He too hardcore in his principles. Even when there's time he should break it multiple times, but I don't know. What I'm looking for the I don't want to like my word, but of every other main character in any other anime or cartoon, whatever you want to talk about, complete leadership. He's the only one whereby no matter what, he had to stick to his protocol down to the T.
But that's what made him who he was, David.
Well, don't get me wrong. It was that character was good. Main character in any it was good during the 80s, right? In the 90s, they only give it a little level of flexibility in the characteristic. In the 2000 and up to date, they just slightly stretch it. With I don't get it.
Okay, so are we talking about the movie concept now, or we're just keeping it to the anime?
I'm going to looking at all the multiple franchise. I'm just paying attention to detail. It's almost as if Megatron has full range of character exploration. You have seen multiple sides of Megatron, right or wrong. You have seen multiple sides of Stark.
Mhm.
You have seen multiple sides of Ultra Magnus. You have seen multiple sides of Bumblebee, right? Let's be real. Optimus Prime, throughout the multiple remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it, his range is not as expansive like every other character. Am I wrong?
In which way are you explaining to me he's not as stretched out, like you said? No fun intended.
I didn't say to be stretched out like Diddy. Take that, take that.
Okay, now you went too far. Now you get the money.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
I'm saying the only time he got a better range of exploring his personality range. I found
Okay,
it,
personality you're talking about. Okay, his personality is very cold.
I think it was the franchise called Transformer Prime because I think that was the only one that it
So,
allowed him to watch it.
so if we're talking about personality, so in the OG 80s cartoon, his personality was like blah, 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 blah. It wasn't.
So,
The other characters have personality, like Bumblebee and all those guys. You know what I'm saying?
right.
He was literally like, if you, I wish Rob was on here right now, or
Oh boy.
CQ, or even King, they'll tell you like a commanding officer. Boom, he was commanding officer from the time he woke up, or the time he powered on. In his case, you know, yeah. And
Tommy Power
through
on
his old
that.
age, till he powered off or went to bed, he was a commanding officer. Now, if we're talking about, let's say, the movies for a second, I know you're not a fan of the movies, but you got to give him credit on one thing. Hang on, David. They gave him more a personality. He wasn't always a soldier. He showed emotion.
Show emotion to a degree, yes, the movie
Yeah.
side of it. But the movie side of it was more like, I don't know. It felt like it was lacking. He could have gone further, to be honest with you. And I was questioning him like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
So the second one was Russ. Let's be straight up. Let's talk about this for 1 minute before we move on, right? So I thought the first one was a decent movie, to be honest with you. I know me and you have disagreed on this, and that's okay. And you know, we can when I go always agree or to disagree. We can disagree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, I think the second one was full of shit, pretty much with you. I know the direction they were going. I knew they were going to kill him off in the second one, like they did with the OG movie, Transformers the movie. I don't know why I couldn't think of that a second. If you remember the beginning of the movie, they were killed him off.
Mhm.
The original reason they killed him off, if you remember, was come on, David, give me the big, give me the big.
So take the Matrix and give it to somebody else.
No, that's not the reason. The real reason,
Wait, we talked about, I forgot what it was.
toys.
Yeah. The infamous American way of killing characters.
It's not only Americans, every country, bro. Let's be honest. If
No,
it's
no,
Palestine,
hold on. We did talk about this before, but only in American market is more focused to toys more than anything else. In
I'm
other
gonna push back
countries,
on that one, bro. I'm gonna
no,
push back on that.
no, no, let me tell you why I say that. How many good franchise or good cartoon class anime series that they put a full stop on because they were not selling toys? They're not going to do it no more. Thundercat is not a perfect example. One season, put around the annoying Thundercat hole with the disrespect.
David, move your mic a little closer to your mouth because you're in and out again.
Oh, what the hell? Let me get the mic in front of my face so that everybody can hear my big ass mouth. Pause. Don't even think about that.
Here we go again. You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
I was gonna hit the button, but you said something like I couldn't help myself now.
I know you can help yourself. You like to have fun with it, but my thing was this. Toys still have been the determination if any cartoon will come back or not.
There's so many cartoons that failed and animes that failed
because of that.
Because of toy sales, and that pisses me the fuck off.
On this side of the earth, any other area, that has never been the case.
That was the case in a lot of places, bro. What are you talking about? Like
no, but not as heavy as over here, though. That's not the biggest issue. Not as heavy over here, because over here it was more like, oh boy, here he comes. Over here, it's heavy on that. Japan, other country, maybe not so, but look at the ratings.
But not as much. Yes, I'll give you that. But I still think the toy sales, model kits, all that stuff has something to do with it. Zoid's a great example because Zoid is not a cool. It didn't pick up as well because of their model kits. They didn't do that well.
They didn't use it well, but for some reason, the fan base of Zoid was growing without it. Outside the U.S., then it got to multiple countries. South America, they love it heavy, what I've noticed so far. But the toy set itself, I hate to say it, it cannot be done properly here in the U.S. in manufacturing way because the way they're done the Zoid in Japan, quality-wise, it's different when they do it over here. Same thing with Voltron. We have seen talk about the Voltron collection. How to read about it.
Voltron had a long series, let's be honest.
It had a long, yeah. But quality-like toys. The 80 back then, they did have the quality at one point, but they were allowed to do it with die cast with a little metal here and there. It was different, but as of lately, kind of like they pulled back on the quality. To me, Transformer, it was almost like they had the biggest lineup of characters on both ends, since from Generation 1 to now. They could have just like Lego, they could have the biggest, more real estate in the store. Transformers should have been the same way to now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case. But I find it very weird, even though it's one of the longest running franchise out there, competed with G.I. Joe, competed with Ninja Turtles. Got a longer franchise, get multiple reboots. I'll remember that one later, but that character Optimus Prime have gone through so many reboots, so many changes, so many looks. The movie look, I felt they could have done better through Michael Bay. I think that was the best he can be done. Character-wise,
I think Michael Bay did a great job overall.
Well, his personality in the movie have a little more range than the personality of all the animated series. To a degree. I'm saying that you and I both seen the movies. I'm not sure. I didn't see the latest one they had out there, but
with Beast Wars ones.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It wasn't. Here's my problem with that movie, bro. I'll be straight up with all you guys. I thought it was going to be a reboot, to be honest. I thought we're going to leave the Autobots away and go into the Beast stuff. But merging both of them together, that part, I never liked that. But that's two different universes, two different timelines. Not two universes. Let me rephrase that. I apologize. I misspoke. Same time, same universe, but different timelines. One is like 100 years in the future. I think, right, David? Am I right? Timeline? I might be wrong on a timeline, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know you're trying to say, but here's the bad part about it. Me and a few other who had the comments about the Transformer franchise, it was done very poorly because there was so many jump in between the story. And the way they did it's more like they butcher the franchise. That Beast War thing they did. We had two different alternate primes.
We did.
That's the last one before Transformer 1. We have Optimus
Transformer
Prime.
what? Don't even get me started with that fucking mess.
That's what I'm saying. The last one before Transformer 1, they had Optimus Prime meet Optimus Primal.
Yeah, that's my point. That made no sense to me. I don't like that, bro.
It made it seem like these did some kind of time travel continuum that took place whereby these, I don't know the thing, the Autobot version of that one came to Earth and they hid it. Optimus Prime was still here, but the whole storyline it did not add up. It wasn't making any sense. That was one.
Really?
Right.
You just read it as a Captain Obvious.
No, because the idea of having all that in there, this is why I say I had an issue with Michael Bay. You got franchise, you butchered the storyline multiple times, literally. And the fact that I was still pissed off because when they bought that one, I asked myself this question: what's into Unicorn and Primal? Remember that storyline they had with the last night? The last night.
They scrapped that completely. I think.
You see what I'm talking about? There was so much gap, bad storytelling, and it made it look like crap.
So one thing, let's take a step back for a second. Let's forget the movies for 1 minute. All right, let's talk about the Beast Wars, the anime, and not even anime. I can go. That was a CG, right?
Yeah, the CG one that Transformer Prime. That was the best one out of all the reboots.
You really think that was the best one, the Prime?
The Transformer Prime, they gave Optimus Prime a little more development on his character. Because at one point, when he supposed to be die, he was questioning himself like.
So here's my thing with CG right now, with animation wise. When you're doing a series like that, it's never that good, David. The CG's I don't think the CG was that good for Beast Wars.
The Beast War, no.
And
Transformer Prime,
now
yes.
It was decent. I think they did. I think that one was a little better, but not the greatest. Beast Machines.
The Beast Machine was a little confusing for me because the Beast War, I get the aspect of this one.
Beast Machine was after they went back to Cybertron.
But the storyline of Beast Machine was kind of like.
I don't remember too much of the storyline. I was literally too young to remember. I haven't.
I was paying attention to I was paying attention to the whole story because
now if I go back and watch Beast Wars,
Beast War made it so much contradictory whereby it took the Generation 1 having it lost in time, right? Land to a different timeline whereby the Sparks. No, let me rephrase that. They took a different timeline whereby they didn't go along with the timeline. They went back in time to prehistoric time, right?
For which one? Beast Wars or
Beast War? The Beast
War. Beast Wars. Yeah, they went back in time.
But the fact that it went back in time, it didn't make sense because on was season 2, season 3, they met the original Optimus Prime at the Ark. I was like, hold up.
Yeah, because he was still frozen in time. Remember Transformers, when they landed during the Stone Age time. And they were suspended in animation, and that's where the Beast Wars started with Optimus Primus. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Optimus Primus. Yeah,
he was the leader.
But where it gets confusing.
This is where it confuses me the fuck because is Optimus Prime and Optimus Primus related?
They're related, but my thing is this. He put to be the next generation behind Optimus Prime, but here where they got confusing.
But don't skip my question. How are they related first before you get into that?
Optimus Prime was supposed to be the descendant of Optimus Prime.
What
So
is his
they
great
call-
grandson or some shit like that?
something like that. But what didn't make no sense was, I will break it down.
Stupid question, David, because you're more a geek than I am. But with the
I know
Autobots.
because he did mention.
Hang on. First of all, I want to. This is a X-ray alert. Oh, wrong one. This is your alert. Please turn off your phones for a few minutes and come back to our. Because I'm gonna ask something very graphic to David right now. Get very great, David. Like, so if Autobots are multiplying, how do they do the tango though? Wampa wampa like
No, ladies
that'd
and
be like
gentlemen,
sparks coming, like like.
ladies and gentlemen, was Ghost or Sparta is actually since
How to do the
Transformer are
nasty. I'm curious how
sentient.
they're doing the nasty.
I know since Transformer are sentient being, he asked me how the Transformer consummate and produce offspring, meaning how did they get their boogie down? Which I myself know damn well for sure, sentient being and not like human being. Okay, if that was the case, there'd be a lot of electrical spark, electrical fire all over the place. That's number one.
Hey, I wonder how they put a rubber around that shit.
I'm not gonna act. I'm not gonna think. I don't want Paul Bennett come say, Willie, are we going down this route?
Yeah, I can see,
Oh,
yo,
Paul,
bring it
before
in,
you say
bring it in, back it up, a little to the left, a little bit to the right, come down,
Oh,
lock
boy.
it in.
Because
There you go, boy.
here's-
Go at it.
here's the contradiction. Unlike human being, you can't take our soul out and put it into the well and get it back to reincarnation. Optimus Prime and his clan, they talk about the Allspark, right? Remember, they come from a planet called Primus, whereby their creator is known as what's the name of the planet again?
Cybertron, you talking about?
Cybertron.
I'm
The
not.
planet called Cybertron, right? But ironically, the planet itself is a transformer known as Primus.
Yeah, because that's where if you play the what game is it? The War of Cybertron. It goes in detail of that.
And now in that Transformer Prime, talk about how when they brought back the Autobot to Cybertron, that's when the arch enemy called Unicron take notice of that and was trying to consume Primal, which is actually what a huge planet itself. But Unicron was a planet of destruction, devouring other planets. It's almost like they made a Marvel version of Galacticus. That's how you consider it. It's funny. Even Death Battle did a battle between Galacticus versus Unicorn. I don't know. It's funny. But you talk about Primer, who is the creator of the Autobot, which also is a planet called Cybertron. Whereby when their spark leave their body, it go back to the Orwell, which is the Allspark. So to reproduce, it's kind of like, even, I'm not gonna lie, elementary school, we asked that thing. Dumb question. How do they, because there's no place, what, do they plug the socket by the power cord into, what to do that with? That would be a joke, but that is not possible.
Yeah, I'm just curious how it's a common question. The thing I'm not saying I don't know.
I know. That question have been asked in elementary school back in the 80s, to the 90s, to the 2000s. But we had to fall back into what the genetic, what they're built up. Sentient being, they with an electrical spark, it can go from one body. Imagine you could take a spark from one body and put it in another body. Something we can't do in the human flesh. So in logic sense, you can't expect them to do similar function that a human being would do. Plus, let's be real, they can replace their arm anytime, any day. Can we replace our arm in that type of fashion? No, I'm not even gonna try. But believe me, that would
I'm
be
just
comical.
imagine the process of put a rubber on the damn thing.
Like I said, if you have electrical fire hose to knock out electrical fire, have it on the side. not gonna have a bunch of electric fire all over the country. But they want to get it on.
Well, technically, Cybertron is made out of metal, so it won't be electrical fire.
Yeah, and they out of space, so don't worry about air because they don't need air to breathe. Unlike us. That's one part. My issue is the generation part about it. It's almost as if the spark regenerate or recycle itself.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was trying to call out, if you catch on, they found Generation 1 Optimus Prime in the Ark, the original Ark, that crash landed into that planet, probably planet Earth. Right? Question is, are they saying that this happened? They're talking about what happened in Generation 1 and not actually Generation 1, meaning the Beast War came at the time when both the Ark and the Genesis, so the Megatron, no, not Megatron, the Decepticon spaceship, the Genesis, both crash land and they were in a deep slumber. Oh no, how long?
So here's a couple of my issues right now. All right, because I let you have the floor for a minute, but now I got this guy has to talk for a minute. So Beast Wars chronologically ordered line made sense and did not make sense at the same time.
Bingo.
They kind of like, hey,
yeah, bingo. Right there, you hit it on the nail because I was watching that 2 years ago. I was questioning, like, hold on, something's not adding up. When you first watched Generation back in the 80s, you saw how they came and crash land and they woke up. Are you saying they crash land ages ago and with a deep slumber? Is that what you're telling us? Because look at Beast War and look at Generation 1. Something wasn't adding up.
I know.
It showed that they crash land and they didn't go to sleep. They survived the crash land to scope out what's going on around them.
David, before we go, I want to welcome our new chat person I haven't seen. Here, show you welcome to the show. This is the Spartan Execute Network Operation Hangout. We talk about all pop culture stuff. He mumbles around, I correct him. Simple.
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to the topic. So the timeline made sense and didn't make sense. So then going back in the future, cool. I'm cool with that part. Even going back watching it as an adult now, it's painful. I'll be honest, it's very painful watching it now.
But the thing is, that Beast War, it got me confused because first and foremost, I was like this when I first saw that episode. Are they saying that what happened in Generation 1 is not the full story? Because that Beast War showed that Optimus Prime and the Ark, the Decepticon and the Genesis crash land on Earth ages ago before they woke up.
But what it gets it more funkier with the show is when they transform into metallic.
Well,
then they go even a step further. What was it called back then? Metallic.
First was metallic because a few of the Autobot and the Decepticon got affected by some kind of alien metal that came in. That met with this
because that Earth at the time was infested by aliens.
Bingo. That's what it was saying.
That part didn't make no goddamn sense. Like, okay,
Cheetah got the transformation. Ratchet got that transformation. Only very few selected. Ratchet got that transformation. Not everybody got it. Who did? Megatron had that transformation with the transmetal.
Optimus Prime. Prime had 3 transformations. His original.
He had the original.
The second one, I like the second one. It's kind of cool, actually.
The second one was transmetal. Yeah, it kind of like
hang on. I think it was kind of cool because when he was in his beast mode, he could flip and get the surfboard, and you saw flying around. I thought that was kind of cool, to be honest with you, as a kid.
That was the cool part. It's the third one that was more confusing because both him and Megatron did the same exact thing. But here, what I asked the question though. Okay, they both crash land. I'll give you that. You saw Optimus Prime in the slumber. You saw Megatron in the slumber, right? Cheeto. Ain't Cheeto the byproduct of Bumblebee?
Say again.
Cheeto, Ultimate Second Command.
Hmm?
Because that's what his beast mode he had up. But before he was beast mode, was it not supposed to be Bumblebee?
I fucking hate you right now. You have a good point.
How come we didn't see Bumblebee in the Ark?
Good point. You actually don't see any of the other Transformers now. I think about it. Do you?
Only Optimus, right?
I fucking hate you right now.
This is why people like me and Wally in that nerd arena, we see the bullshit and we try to say
Absolutely, yeah.
somebody did something screwed with the storyline. Because the Nemesis, no, not the Genesis, the Nemesis, which is the Decepticon ship, they find Megatron body there. Where are the other Decepticon that put me in that ship? Only Megatron was found.
Huh.
The same thing applied to Optimus Prime. They found Optimus Prime body in the Ark, but he didn't go by himself. He had a team. Where the team at? I was like, hold on. So
Well, hey, I got a question here. Just popped in my head. All right, and maybe you can answer this better, right? The Transformers Beast, Optimus Primus, in the new movie, he's in there. Is that technically a metallic version of a kangaroo, or not kangaroo? Is he not monkey? What is it? Help me out.
me, Optimus Prime in Transformer 1?
No, in the movie. It would not be technically a metal version.
In the original movie, right?
The last movie that came out, I'm talking about.
The last one that came out, they're supposed to be Transformer 1, where they told you.
No, not that one.
The last one before that. The last one before that.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Leave that in a second out of there, right? Because that's not even that's a prequel. I'm talking about the Ultimate Prime meets Optimus Primal. All right.
Yeah.
Technically, isn't he a metal version at that point?
They're both metal version, but he's more on the vehicle version compared to.
That I'm not arguing that. I'm talking about because in the cartoon, they show him transforming, but he has actual animal skin outside.
That's why the confusion with that Beach War. It looks like animal skin, but it's actually metal. The metal it's metal
in a cartoon.
In the cartoon / CGI Beach War, the skin he had is actually metal, but it's not really like animal skin. That was one part.
Okay.
2. Remember, any mode they picked, they had to, what's the term? Terraform to it, right?
I'm going to show you a picture a second here, right now.
Because.
And this looks like a metal version more than the. See?
It's metal version. It's metal version. You're correct. It's metal version. But the thing is, remember, there's Tentium being, so there's more like a robot in a way. But his spark his spark, how do I put it? It scanned the animal and it terraformed to that the function and the shape of it. Remember, there's one.
Oh, that's fake. Never mind.
Was it Transformer Armada? What?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that series.
Whereby they were looking for the keys, the lock key, and basically where they go to is they terraform to the version they have. Some of the Autobot had a vehicle mode and end up transforming to the animal mode, while some upgraded their mode, so to speak. They're all metals, regardless. It's just that whatever mode they scan.
I'm not arguing that part. My argument statement is right now is between Beast Wars, the CG or whatever you want to fucking call it, versus the movie. The movie looks like he's actually skipped the season 1. It went into season 2. He's metallic already. That's my argument statement right
now. I'm telling you right now, all the movie was confusing all the way through. Even the last one before Transformer 1. because the way it looked like it's not that they skipped. They went on multiple jump. Remember that I said it before. They didn't follow the storyline properly. It was like a mashup. Remember I told you my pet peeve was?
I thought the last one was supposed to be a reboot. They're going to, finally pass the torch from Optimus Prime to Optimus Primal. That's what I thought it was the original idea.
I thought that too. I was thinking the same thing, but was not the case. Because it was so much a matchup of storyline. The one that I picked me up more than anything, Wheeljack, the character Wheeljack. Emma, who grew up watching Transformers, that character Wheeljack was always a scientist, number one, but also his vehicle was a sport car. They made the guy a Volkswagen Beetle van. I was like, excuse me? Even though they did an upgrade for Bumblebee, Bumblebee was mostly a Volkswagen Beetle. They upgraded to the Camaro. They downgrade Wheeljack to a Volkswagen Beetle van. How you do that? I don't get that part.
I think they were just trying to upgrade it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm sorry. That was never an upgrade. Of any
In
of the
the series, it was going back and forth, wasn't it? Or it was always. Remind me, because I don't remember, to be honest with you.
it was more of a going back and forth. It was something about what they're hiding. That movie was hiding something. For a particular mercenary group that were following these primals. And they had to quote unquote protect it, right?
But my question is, during this series, was Bumblebee a Punch Beagle, whatever you want to call it, VW Beagle, or was he a Camaro sports car?
His
Or was
first
he going back
version,
and
no,
forth?
Bumblebee was first formed was a Volkswagen Beetle from the generation.
Okay, so I remember correctly then. Okay.
But during the movie, when Michael Bay first got hold of it to do such a thing, right? He upgraded Bumblebee from the Volkswagen Beetle to the Camaro. If you know about it, they did a Easter egg when they went to pick up the car. Bumblebee was next to the Volkswagen Beetle. They were supposed to be his former body. And
Yeah,
did the car
he
dirty.
slammed it open.
Yeah, that like I'm saying,
A
nah.
little prank they were doing.
They're doing the prank. Okay, this is no longer my image. I've been upgraded. I got something better. Boom.
I give him that.
So we went from the old
Finish your
Camaro
statement, because I want to get into the conversation with
to the new
Transformers
Camaro,
1 next.
right? Wheeljack, who was the scientist, was always been a sport car but throughout the whole time. They downgraded him from being a scientist, some kind of weird Latino dude in a Volkswagen Beetle like van, which was very, very stupid. So there was a lot of characters slaughter going on. You mean Grimlock? Where did they get Grimlock? That dinosaur never transformed. How you have all the Dinobots, only one or two were actually being used, and you have many other there, and you have their robot mode. Like, why will you bring that idea to it in the movie when you're not gonna fully utilize it? The Last Night, right? The last one before Transformer One, what was going on was very, very disrespectful. Because this is what I'm saying. Michael Bay should not do no more Transformer movie ever again.
Yeah. David, hang on one second. This guy's the next person in here, and we're going to continue our conversation.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president.
Oh, you pissed.
Uh-oh. You did it, David.
First of all, I could not believe my ears when I heard this whole conversation. It's your platform, and I saw no accountability or checks and balances. Where CBN TED Talks, a.k.a. Black David, a.k.a. Bear Paws, besmirched the character of arguably, and I would say, the greatest hero ever invented in Optimus Prime. I cannot believe my ears. What has happened?
David, this is your mess to clean up.
I blame this not necessarily on him. I blame this on Vince McMahon and that Attitude Era
And
that
Didi, you already
basically
got blame Didi.
ruined what it meant to be a hero. All these anti-hero, gray area, no pun intended. Watch Gray Area Sundays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on Sparta HQ Network. It's people like him that have been corrupted by Vincent Kennedy McMahon and his Attitude Era that has blurred the lines between what it means to be a hero. Optimus Prime, voiced by arguably one of the greatest voice actors of all time, Peter Cullen,
Oh, absolutely.
inspired by his brother, Larry Cullen, decorated Vietnam veteran, 2 Purple Hearts, as a Marine, as bad as it gets, who was the inspiration as Peter Cullen was going for the audition for Optimus Prime. His brother, when he described to his brother what he was going for, he had no conception of how to pull this off, because what was given to him by his agent was, it's a toy truck that's a hero. And his brother, before he left, told Peter, if you're going to play a hero, be a real hero. Not one of these stiff up your chest and macho kind of guys. Be a real hero. And his brother actually talked like that. And that is the inspiration for Optimus Prime. Coming from someone, war-hardened Vietnam veteran, and yet the audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated gall of Mr. Bearpaw, Mr. David, Mr. Iene, to besmirch, saying that he's basically one-dimensional, that, oh, Megatron and Starscream have more fun. He is arguably the greatest hero ever created. Better than Superman, better than Aslan from Chronicles of Narnia. I remember 1986 when Transformers the movie, not going to comment too much on the movie, but you had kids in therapy because they killed off, I'm just going to say it, the greatest hero, fictional hero ever created. Meek and he is the epitome of meekness. Strongest Autobot, whether it be in the cartoon series or in the movie series. And again, mind you, I'm only talking about the Peter Cullen. I have really no interest for all these other 20 million spin-offs of the
David, may I
Transformers.
jump in for a
I have
second,
no
please?
time for that. No, you cannot.
I was going to back you up, actually.
I don't need backing on this one. I got it.
Well, fine.
So, kids traumatized by this man, this character who was the epitome of strength, strongest Autobot, kick butt, even in the movies. At the end of the day, he might have got knocked down, but at the end of the day, took out Megatron, Galvatron, took out Grimlock. You name the guy. But as meek and mild as anyone else. Didn't see himself any better than anybody else. That is what the epitome of it. A lot of people equate meekness with weakness, but you have to be strong to be meek, and he was the epitome of that. So when I see people like Bear Paw David come at this character, I have to put my foot down, and I cannot let that slide. David, I'm very disappointed in you.
I had my reason for saying this because, for one, even I watched almost every adaptation.
David, microphone again.
Watching the multiple adaptation, only one or two adaptations they allow Optimus Prime to go a little further of the character. Transformer Prime was one of it, but they give a little bit more event than every other adaptation, which I totally agree. Yes, he's one of the greatest hero of all time. But what they gave him to work with was better than all the other adaptations I've seen so far. The second one that I noticed that allow him to improve a characteristic, it what was it? I can't remember the other one because I still have an issue with the movies. I found out it could have been a better storyline to really flush out his character properly. I won't remember what I get a chance because what I had a problem was with this. The movie was nothing but a matchup of multiple storylines combined into one, not making any sense. Kind of like stifling his growth as a character in these movies. Certain adaptation allow him to flush out properly. Transformer Power on the top of the list. The Beast War thing, what I was explaining to Peter, Ghost of Sparta, there's a lot of contradiction in the play of it. I did not like that. Transformer Model was the second one yet that came to my mind that they gave him more range to work on because there was so many episodes whereby his decision making was put into question and he had to hold him. Okay, I remember now. There was a series they did on Netflix. More like a continuation story of after the war was over and he turned the leadership over to Autobot Prime. And he stepped away. That range of character they gave him will allow me to see Optimus Prime in his true nature and true color. What I give him credit for. That was the only one. Transformer Prime and that movie-like series they were doing on what happened after the war was over when both Optimus Prime and Megatron walked away. Let alone trying to rebuild the Cabana War. That was it. The Cabana War. That characteristic growth they gave Optimus Prime allowed me to see Optimus Prime how he's meant to be. We were very, very unique. I understand why Mr. Paul said what he said. But if you have watched all the adaptations or most of the adaptations I've seen so far, only very few give him a better range.
David, can I jump in 1 second, please?
Yeah.
One thing I want to back up Paul is Peter, can't pronounce his last name. Cullen. He's one of the most few that I know has come back multiple times to revive his character. He's the only voice that I ever heard doing Optimus Prime over and over and over and over and over. So you gotta give him credit for the actor. He's good. He's really fucking good. The voice actor. That's all I was gonna say before.
And you can make a case that and again, I'm playing with you, David. I mean, I'm playing with you tonight.
You came serious, but bro, for a minute there, I thought you were the real president.
Sometimes you have to put down some authority. Let people know who's boss here. But I would say certainly I agree that like I said, I think the franchise has been so watered down. It's like there's definitely, I think there's significant Transformers fatigue. But again, what I always found, what kept Transformers where it was, again, the constant thread is Peter Cullen. Because I don't think Peter Cullen would go into a script and say, okay, well, look, we're going this direction and whatnot. If it didn't sound like or feel like Prime, I don't think he would even do it. Because again, what you're hearing through Peter Cullen, the character itself, is his brother Larry. And again, he remembered what his brother told him. And again, the rest is history. So you want to talk about being inspired by somebody and how 40 something, almost 50 years later, we're still talking about this franchise. It's because of that. That's why I was a little bit disappointed that Transformers 1 didn't have Cullen in it. Because again, you have to, again, that there's something about, again, the voice, there's something about the character, there's a presence. I remember I had an English teacher back in high school. His name was Mr. Bailey. He was 6'6", wore a 3-piece suit to work every day. And he had, again, this sort of commanding voice. Mr. Bennett. He would address everybody by, as students, as Mr. Bennett, Mr. Johnson. It was commanding. It was almost like Darth Vader's voice, kind of, to an extent. But he had to respect. Didn't matter how bad the kid was. And it was not like he didn't have to raise his voice. He had such a commanding presence about him that you just were just moved, like you had to respect the man. And so again, with Prime, you kind of have that similar energy. So I think that the series where Peter Cullen was present is what kept the series afloat all this time. All these other incarnations, I think, have essentially brought the series down. And again, he can't live forever. Mm-hmm. You know, the voice is going to fail at some point. It's already, you know, here recent interviews is already kind of on the weaker side, and they probably have to do some sort of augmentation to get it up there to where it is now. I know they, with this AI stuff, they're starting to get pretty good at being able to do voice. That's one of the things that in just computer tech in general, even though all this science fiction talks about it, right? But they still haven't done full voice mimicry yet. It's close, but they still haven't been able to really get the fluidity quite down yet. It still kind of sounds robotic or you know, not unnatural. That's one of the hardest things to do. But how many, when you talk about Terminator or anything else, how many times we see this, the idea of voice mimicry or whatever, like, oh, it's so simple, but it's not technically, at least not yet. But again, every place he's been involved has been the best of the series. So again, like I said, when I talk about Transformers, that's really the only thing I talk about. All the other incarnations, it's not Transformers to me. Even though with the actor who played Megatron, now it's the same voice actor, but David Bay, he didn't want the voice he did in the cartoon to be the same voice in the movies. I think that was a mistake. Because again, even back then, that you know, I never saw Megatron, no matter how they drew him or whatever. I never said that's Megatron. It could be Galvatron. It could be someone else. But I thought that was a big mistake because how successful Peter's voice was. You should have brought that back. And they didn't do it. And I thought they would have been even better. But it's especially for the OGs who watched the cartoons growing up. I think there's a comfort certainly in the voice of Prime. And there's also a menace in Megatron's voice, especially again from the cartoon series, that I think was missing, where you would have brought in the OGs as well as the young folks who never saw that stuff growing up. But again, keeping continuity. You had a great thing. You went off the rails in season 3. Well, certainly post the movie, and then season 3 was, you know, not to the standard. And I think they haven't really recovered from that. But again, the best thing about Transformers is Peter Cullen and what he brings, not just his voice, but his presence into Prime. And that kind of level sets everything else. That's like a security that makes, you can bring in different robots, you can bring in different characters and all this kind of stuff. But I think that's the glue that holds everything together. And again, when he does, like I said, eventually as his role gets diminished and if they can't replace the voice, I just don't see a future for this franchise in the current form. You can't. There's only so many times you could kind of revive something, and you can't do it. But what the reason for their success has been, I would say, singular to one person, and that is him.
Now, when I was saying this before, right? You look at Transformer Combiner War, you can watch it on Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV Plus. Optimus Prime in that series was given way more range to be himself, but in a way whereby he's no more the leadership, but you see his character, what he really is, how he thinks and how he makes his decision. Sometimes he came off of like, I don't care what you do, this is how I'm gonna do it. And even the way they spent on his character, I was like, they could have done this a long time ago. I wouldn't say make Optimus Prime the anti-hero, but like any war movie or any military movie, the character show his range based on his decision maker, based on his emotion, based on how he feels. And some of them only give to a limitation to how far it can go. But this one, the Combiner War series, Optimus Prime was more like nobody expect him to act the way he would act. It was like, it's Optimus Prime? Like, he let loose. Yes, when he was in the leader, when he was the general, when he was in charge of the Autobot, he had himself into the structure and autoplay. And I was always asking myself, what would Optimus Prime be like when he don't have to follow the structure, but he allowed to be how he really wanted to be, and show a side that even other Autobots never knew that existed. That happens.
Well, can that be attributed to the role that he has? Like, for example, again, talk about great heroes. Like, again, Steve Rogers, right? So if you look at like the first first
Soldier.
Avenger, he was a soldier. So again, following orders. But then when you saw in Winter Soldier and beyond, when the structures, Shield and whatnot, when Shield was compromised and you started to see things differently and whatnot, you saw he was able to make that pivot from being the good soldier to being that. But again, he was the soldier. He was under leadership of someone, a president, Shield, the Avengers Initiative. He always was in lockstep with that and tried to operate within that structure. When that broke down, he had to go rogue. But when you are the leader, he is the leader of the Autobots. So he is the president. He doesn't have a superior.
But remember
So
when remember when Steve Rogers had a choice to make whereby they passed that particular bill registration. Remember how he showed his true character was like, nah, I got a more comfort. I'm not gonna follow this. Yes, he had a structure and order, but he had a more comfort. Optimus Prime, same dude,
right.
had a more comfort.
But again, but I'm saying, but what position are you going to put Prime in to have to make that choice? Now, again, the only thing I could see, and they didn't do this in the movies, but certainly they could have took a chance with this. And you've seen this in other movies where governments, because again, basically in the movies, the Autobots were always partners, again, with the with the Autobots. The only time there was distinction was in the Dark Side of the Moon, or what was that? When the CIA, that opening scene where they kind of go into headquarters and you had that lady that came out and Optimus was ticked off and stuff. He's like, you lied to us. It's like, so again, he showed that, look, we're doing this in good faith, but you guys withholding information from us that could have helped out in a lot of campaigns. So I think he did show a side of, he doesn't like it. Look, we're coming in good faith, but you guys are not. Now, what if they continued that story arc?
Bingo.
Where you had agents or entities within government that were like, look, I don't trust any of these people. I don't trust the Decepticons, and I don't trust these Autobots.
Oh, we forget one thing. And later on in the series, they were hunted. when Mark Wahlberg took over the role. I think it was Age of Extinction. I think was it, or maybe before that. They were hunting like animals. So they kind of did continue on that.
Yeah, but the thing that the storyline, yes, they were hunting, but the storyline was jinky. Remember I said there's too much mismatching going on. And they did it so bad to the last one before Transformer 1 was the worst one ever.
I actually want to talk about it for a second. Did you guys watch it at all?
Transformers 1, I haven't had the opportunity yet.
No, you're so lucky, Bo. You're so lucky.
But I think I have to give it a shot though. I will watch. I just haven't had time to watch any movies for it.
No. Don't do it to yourself.
Because my thing is,
go ahead, Joe. You go first. This is your show today.
My thing is this: I like who Optimus Prime is, and I always know that you put him in the position whereby his moral is being challenged, and the hierarchy has been sabotaged. I always want to see how would he react and how he maneuver around that area. Transformer Prime did that for him. Combiner War did that for him. It allowed him to get more range to be what he's meant to be. You get what I'm saying? Because the thing that I've noticed with the common thread on most of the adaptation, he get to a place whereby he start to question the hierarchy. He start to question the leadership above him. Should I continue to follow? Because it's somewhere my moral compass telling me, nah, this is not it. Something is up. I need to challenge this thing. Like what can I do? Because some of the other franchise, they kind of like did it in a very lame way. Like, okay, he went from being a leader to undercover. And the character went flat. They didn't give it a proper ring to it. That's what I'm saying. Because look at Transformer Prime, the first 3 seasons. Even the part whereby he supposed to join the Autobot, he came out beefed up, and he was more like, I don't give a F anymore. You're Ultimate. No, he did Megatron. You can't eat this. And I saw that right, and I was like, oh, so he do got that little rah, like, I don't give a F anymore. You're not gonna play me for a fool. That kind of look. The Combiner War is more so like, I gotta come back and clean up y'all guys' mess. I leave this thing. I leave it to you guys, and y'all can do a proper job. Now I gotta come back and babysit you guys. But you see that side of him whereby he going around fixing the screw up that he left the new generation for to get the job done, but he couldn't get it done. That he showed they don't effort me, persona. And that was more like, okay, he can really be this.
But David, here's my issue with that movie right now. If you play any games, read any books, the prequels, anything like that, I'm talking about prequels we talked about before they came to Earth. Those make more sense than this garbage. Not having your cog in your chest, you had a hole in your chest, like that made no sense to me. And like Paul said, you having his original voice actor didn't do it. That made no sense to me either. He's healthy enough to do it still. He's aging. That's gonna happen to all of us. But my point is trying to get to is that movie should never happened like that. Go ahead, David.
This is why when we had the last conversation, when I said I hated Michael Bay.
But Michael Bay didn't do that movie, bro.
But who made the decision on for the voice actor?
Transformers 1?
No, from all the last Transformers before.
No, I'm talking about Transformers 1 right now.
I never watched it, but I heard it was crap.
Okay, I'm the only one. Poor me.
Yeah, like I said, I think I need to watch it just so we can have,
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna watch it myself.
But thanks to Marcus, who gave me a great show title.
Uh-oh.
We're doing another versus, guys.
What title be this?
Transformers versus Gundam.
No, not happening.
It's too late. It's gonna happen. Stay tuned, people.
That is not happening. But let me tell you why I tell not happen. Because first and foremost, sentient being versus non-sentient being. One move without a pilot, the other one need a pilot.
Wait for that show. No spoilers.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna hit the button.
Okay.
That's
But
what I
my
thought.
thing is this. I don't like when certain people given a project to do the franchise and not follows through for what made it iconic, and they want to do their own twist, and the twist is not what is needed. Because when I was breaking down the confusion, right, of that Beast War thing, imagine how to do the same thing on that last movie, The Rise of the Beast War. Why were you doing unnecessary downgrade of certain characters? For what purpose? I mean, that was a slap. And I'm trying to figure out what excuse did he have for that. Already the storyline for that movie was very confusing. Like how you gonna make that one work? And Owen activity, he trying to. I remember he was saying something about the graphic, the look, the feel, the firework that was self movie. No, the storyline also self movie too, but the storyline seemed kind of lameish. And yet you're getting new fan base who never watched the franchise. So that's what was going on. Those who watched the franchise are saying the same thing all across the board. The movie sucks.
Here's the issue we're gonna have, and I think they kind of flirted with the idea with Transformers One. Excuse me. This whole series, the whole franchise need a very hard reboot right now. But here's the problem: you have the old school. Hang on, David, before you jump down my throat. I know you're ready to come clawing at me, Bear Paul or Bear Pub. Is old school fans, Paul, David, myself, CQ, King Smith, and so on, are going to look at it like, what the hell is this shit? But when they do reboot it, you have to remember the next generation coming up. How are they going to take it in? That what was cool back in 1985 for us is not going to be cool in 2025 now. Am I making sense what I'm saying here?
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think has Transformers ever had a break.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, probably going back to our time. I'm saying going back to again by '86, it kind of went off. I don't know what was the next series that came after that. Was it Beast Wars? That was the next one.
I'm actually going to tell you right now all the series in real order. Give me 1 second. All right, so no, damn it, he wanted to do that. All right, here we go. All right, this is not giving me any order. Oh, sucks. So after David, please correct me. After Beast Machines, was it right? After Beast Machines.
I thought it was okay.
It was Beast Wars. That was
Wars.
Beast Machines.
Okay.
That was a spinoff. You're right. Beast Wars was first, then it's Beast Machine. From then to about the first movie when they start bringing the cartoons back, that was the huge break they had. For what? 10 years, David? 15 years, one there? David, you're muted.
You're muted.
Try now. David?
Give me a second.
Oh,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you referring to the live action movie or the animated series?
The anime stuff I'm talking about now.
Okay, animated series, I'm about to read out what I've seen. I'll Google it. They say the Transformer 1, that Generation 1, went from 1984 to 1971, right?
Move the mic close to your face.
From 1987, the Beach War that came in 1996 to 1999. So that's a huge break from 1987 to 1996, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Unicorn trilogy, the didn't put the year for that one. Transformer Prime was done in 2010 to 2013. Right?
Prime.
After that,
No, you forget. Transform. Amar was
Armada. I
old.
didn't. Yeah, that's. Oh yeah, that's Unicorn. That's the Armada, Energon,
two
and
that came
Cybertron. That part of all them. They didn't put the year on that one. I don't know why they.
That was O2 on my side. I'm seeing it right now.
Okay, 02. So yeah, Transformer Prime, the CGI version, that was 2010 to 2013. And after 2013, the most recent one they did was Transformer Earthspark, which is 2022. But before that one, the one I'll talk about that on Netflix for the Transformer War of Cybertron trilogy. That's the 2020 to 2021.
You're also forgetting Transformers Robots in Disguise in 2015.
Okay, I didn't see that on my end.
Yeah, let me share my
Go
screen
ahead.
for a second and see what
Okay,
I
go
got.
ahead.
Yeah.
Then you can share me your screen so we can figure this out.
Okay.
Because it looks like we're all over the place with this. All right, this is what I found. And I did a typical Transformers series order, cartoon, nothing special. So it's not in order. So apologize on that part. So you got Generation down here, Prime and War trilogy. That I don't remember watching that at all. Can't speak on that. 87 was
The Headmaster.
Headmaster. I heard of it, never watched it. In my defense,
It was so different from everything else. So it was almost like they might have took a. I think with Headmasters, I think they took a like a retired Japanese series and kind of reformulated and named it Transformers. I don't think that had any.
On my end, when you just mentioned like the Transformer Headmaster, it will put it in the whole category of G1. It kind of had a part of G1, Generation 1. But that was from 1984 to 1987.
See, my problem with my list, it has the movies mixed in here. If you see, like last night, that's you know what I'm saying. So my list is not correct on Google. I'll give them that.
And the Transformer animated, I didn't see that part on my end.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. I'm looking at them like, okay, this is not. But robots, rescue robots. I knew that was a thing for a while.
That was a diversion for
2011.
little kids. That was the adolescent version for Transformers they were doing at that time. But what they were trying to follow through is the gap in between because remember they want to talk about the Cabana War.
Hey, can I share mine?
Go ahead.
Screen?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll give you permission once I get the okay.
There was some break in between, but what I'm thinking about it is more like the production company who were doing. Okay, there you go.
All right, this makes more sense now.
Okay.
Mr. President to the rescue, like always.
All right, so Generation 1. So yeah, I mean, so from 84 to 87, and then you had. So again, I mean, there's not a lot of breaks here. Certainly from 84, certainly to 90, pretty consistent. Then you had a 3-year period from Transformers Zone, which was a Japanese series, to Transformers Generation 2. Then you get into the Beast era from 1996, again another 3-year period. And then again, you have pretty much a continuity again through the 2000s. Then the Unicron trailer with David referred to, Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, again all together. And again, so now you're getting also into the movie era here. So again, I think 2007 was the first movie. So concurrently with these animated series, Transformers Animated and Cyber Missions, you had the movie franchise start, and that was a part of it all the way up through last year. So the earlier point that I was making was we really haven't had a significant break from Transformers, period.
It's true.
Of any length, even in these periods where there was like a 3-year gap here between the series and whatnot, you still had these going on or people will, or certainly either these went to syndication or they, they were still there. So we never had a break from anything.
And the Beast, the Beast era, I didn't realize it was like Beast War Neo. I was like, whoa, where'd that one come?
There's a lot on this list that we probably haven't seen because overseas they might went to Japan.
Yeah, see, a lot of these again, there was a lot of Japanese series that may not have aired certainly within, so it's produced by TV Tokyo, Ashi Productions, or whatnot. So again, you might not have seen all these now, but now, I mean, since everything is shared, you can get sort of caught up on all this kind of stuff. But even then, to me, it's like unless you have, at least me being American, I guess, the fact that again Peter Cullen's probably not involved in any of these here. These are almost like what do we call them? The mecha series, or they're probably some of these the characters may look familiar from the Transformers franchise, but it could have been very done in that sort of mecha style that certainly David and Wally be talking about in there. So again, if you wanted to see sort of the best of both worlds, because I know David has an appreciation for that Japanese anime style, but imagine an anime using the Transformers, as the models there. So I mean that could be your if you haven't seen some of these, David, that could be here's another one. Beast Wars 2 Super Life Form Transformers. So again, this could be kind of what you're looking for. This one here, this is a movie. Beast Wars 2 Lio Convoys Close Call. So I mean, if I were you, I would take an interest.
I will look
in
into it
some of these.
They're the franchise game that's under the Transformer franchise half hour called Transformer Earth War. And what I've been noticing, they've been adding characters from all of the Transformer franchise and they throw into the game bit by bit because there are a lot to work with. And I've seen some characters that I'm totally unfamiliar with, and I realize it comes from a different franchise that's not done in the US as well. When I talk about the Transformer Prime, that's the one from 2010 to 2013.
Yeah.
That was going for a good 3 years or so, right?
Yeah.
They gave Optimus Prime a different characteristic. Now, all the other one behind that one, if you start to notice, Transformer Robot, that was the reboot for the adolescent. Transformer Go was a joke. Transformer Prime Beach War Beach Hunter, it was supposed to be another season. But some parent reading that with a pushback, but they're not going to do it. They're going to do it instead. Because for one choice, there was an issue behind that. So I went down to that. What about In Disguise? That's the animated series that almost went straight to Netflix.
I think it did went to Netflix, didn't it?
Went to Netflix, but not all the seasons uploaded it. They had like 1 or 2 seasons, and the rest was taken off. The Robot Academy, another thing. I think that was on Netflix, but not where it is. What I was telling you about that they give Optimus Prime a range of character with the Cabana War, with the Prime War trilogy, Titan Return, and Empower the Prime. That was completely different. Transformer Cyberverse is more so like more on Bumblebee side, where Optimus Prime make a guest appearance every now and then. War Cybertron trilogy, all these other ones. The last one, Earthspark, it's on Netflix. They finished season 1, season 2 about to come out already.
Right.
And David,
and they don't even list Transformers 1 here though.
Not for the movie, you had to go. I think
again, but that would count. I mean, they had movies that were certainly in here, but why Transformers 1 isn't listed in this list here? But again, add that to it from last year. So but my overall point is, again, we have been, there's been plenty of Transformers, 1,285 episodes.
God damn.
Of from all of these properties, here. So again, we haven't had a you talk about doing a reset. How many times are you going to reset? Well, what could you add that hasn't been added before, unless you did something like I said, if the movies want to do something a bit more, and I know Peter, you said they kind of did that with one where they were kind of being hunted, but a real kind of Civil War or Winter Soldier type of thing, where it's like really that's going to have them operating differently. I don't know
I
how
can get behind that. I can get behind that.
how much juice can you really get out of this thing? I mean, I'd say retired for 5 years, period, and just let things kind of simmer down. But it's like every year they have to come up with something that is that's there. So I mean, that's like stop sharing
As
my
much
screen.
as I agree 100% what you're saying, Paul, the problem is right now it's too hot to pause it. It's way too hot right now.
But too hot for who? Because the three of us who basically live in Transformers, like we have no interest. Maybe, like I said, David, he may want to go back and watch again some of those Japanese productions that we didn't get a chance to see. Certainly not here on U.S. television. So he can certainly go back and look at some of those animes
And
that they
compare.
did. But again, for the OG fan, what could they give us at this point?
Good question.
I just can't see it. Like I said, I have no interest in going. Like I said, I wanted to see Transformers 1 mostly because of the storyline, the idea of I'm a sucker for origin stories because again,
There you
we
go.
see
Wrong, that.
Transformers is basically they're like there. So the fact that there was an origin story behind the Transformers, that in and of itself was interesting to me. And like I said, I may still see the movie because of that, even though it's not going to have the familiar ring or the voices that I'm familiar with.
Or grew up on.
But yeah, but outside of that, if you're trying, again, I guess newer audiences, but the people who carried these franchises for 40 years, I don't see where they're going to go with this unless they come up with something that's really, maybe if they did a live action that goes back to the beginning. But I thought, wasn't that what Bumblebee was supposed to be, essentially?
Something like that, yeah.
So again, like I said, there's very little juice you can get out of this orange now.
And here's the problem. The live action version, when they did the movie, they did a complete matchup of the storyline was totally uncalled for. Because let's be real, from the first movie, right? We were hoping for something different from the Transformers movie back to 2007, right? 2009, right on Revenge of the Fallen. It almost looked like it was making sense to a degree. When they hit Dark of the Moon, we thought to know that something was off with the storyline. It was not connecting properly. Then Age of Extinction, right? What's up with that?
Right. And I think the other thing that's off is again the lack of recognition. I mean, the one thing about Prime, not only like I said, the consistency of the voice acting, but also how he looks. Again, I didn't like the fact that they went. Now, again, obviously, you can't turn Megatron into a handheld pistol. I mean, even physics as such, you can't. You can only do so much with that. That's why I kind of like the fact in Transformers 1 from the clips that I saw, he was like a tank, which I can get behind something like that. But I thought that the Autobots, or certainly the Decepticons in general, they were too alien looking. But what's the one character they did not mess with? And what's the one character that they've had it? Prime. He still looks like, even I don't care. Look at we saw the clips of the Japanese series that they've done in the past. Doesn't matter what you throw around. What makes it Transformers is Optimus Prime and how he looks. And so again, I think that the total alien thing I get, at least maybe on the onset, but once they became, once they got the Earth machines, I think they still should have looked more like the characters that we're used to. And again, I think that's just a major shift and a change from what they could have done to, again, you don't want to, I guess, mess with your existing customer. Any business that wants to grow, first order of business is don't tick off your existing customer base in chasing a new customer base.
And that would happen from the first movie, because when the first movie came out, right, A lot of people went to the movie. I spoke with OG fans who grew up watching the Transformers, and I listened to what they were saying. They said it was not feeling because first and foremost, based on Generation 1, the whole premise was robot versus robot interaction. There was too much of robot versus human interaction on the first movie compared to the original Generation 1, with more robot versus robot interaction. The second one, unnecessary jokes was added on to it. It was not what killing it. It was destroying the whole vibe. Third one is you got the downward progress. It was like they didn't even care about the storytelling. When you brought in the idea of Unicron and you just scratch it off on the next movie, it's almost like, what are you doing?
Right. But I'm saying, but even in some of those, like I said, Dark Side of the Moon, like Soundwave. I mean, with the spinning snake-like figure or whatever. I mean, again, I'm like, this isn't what I'm used to seeing.
Soundwave, they went way too far with that shit.
Now, I liked when they brought the Age of Extinction. I like that you brought the Dinobots in, but why didn't you name them the Dinobots? Grimlock is arguably the maybe I say the third most well, I'd say third or fourth between Prime, Megatron, and Bumblebee. Grimlock is like, why don't you name the characters the way they're named?
And not only that, when you had Grimlock there, why didn't allow him to showcase his robot form?
That, and why didn't he speak?
Here's the other question: why was no backstory on them? A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's so again. There's just a lot of again. They just, like I said, that's why I don't necessarily like talking about again the franchise as a whole. But my thing is, if you want to get back to the base, then I think you need to restore and have it look like what that base was.
Which means the same thing I tell you about the Star Wars will happen to this one.
Oh yeah,
you give it a hard reboot. Now, question is, who can you trust that will do it properly? Because Michael Bay did a shit show.
Oh well, we know who did the best. To me, second or third best Star Wars movie is Rogue One. So bring back that guy who did Rogue One, and I think because I still think there's you can continue to do Star again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are still plenty of Star Wars between the episodes, the main six, because those are really ones I only recognize.
And I get that, but
you did only one. You did one bridge. Well, really two. I mean, Solo wasn't that great, but I'm just saying. But you could certainly go back. You could do, for example, you could do Splinter in the Mind's Eye. You could do, because there's a lot of because there's like a 3-year period between these films. In terms of the chronology of what's going on, you see Luke Skywalker.
Clone War series, Paul.
What's that?
They did the Clone War series, the anime series, Clone War. Between
right. I'm talking about if they want to get back to live action. I'm only talking in the context of live action films. If they want to do, like I said, if they want to do like a Rogue One was like the perfect bridge between the prequel and episode well, really it's episode 4, but in the chronology, Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie.
But at least you have a director who can do a proper reboot that you believe would do proper justice. But on a Transformers side, there is none.
But I'm saying, but you don't have to do a reboot. I'm saying even with Star Wars, you could just play within the existing story and you basically get everybody back. You get the fans, again, the original fans from 50 years ago who you ticked off. You get those people back. Again, the time period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Luke goes from being an apprentice. He's not a Jedi yet to essentially being a full Jedi powered up by the time Return of the Jedi comes on and he goes into Tatooine and all that. What happened between that time? You don't have to reinvent the wheel there.
So the guy who did Rogue One, his director's name is Geraint Edward.
Yeah.
And he's done a bunch of stuff like what was
He
it?
did the first Godzilla movie, the 2014
He did,
Godzilla movie. Garth Edwards, yeah. Gareth Edwards.
Jurassic
Yeah.
World, Rebirth, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of two things here, Paul. You got good director and good script.
Yeah.
You don't have a good balance on those. Sorry.
But the important thing is also directions. What I like about doing the tweeners is, again, you don't have to overthink it because you know where you have to land it. You know what I'm saying? It's like with the sequel trilogy 7, 8, and 9. It was like, well, where do we go with this franchise? Wouldn't it be easier then to simply deal with where did this have to land? And then you can write an interesting story in between to say, okay, it has to pick up. Now the story has to pick up from here. So I think those are ways, again, if they don't know what to do with the Star Wars franchise, again, George already had laid it out for you. Even if you go off of the all of the series that came out of that. Remember the Dark Horse series where Luke actually goes like kind of to the dark side? Remember those the Dark Horse comics back in the day? I think it was Rise of the Empire or something like that, where he kind of flirts. He's almost in the dark. You could go there if you wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's within the canon that you could go off of and make something from. But again, I don't want to derail this off the Transformers conversation.
Before we get back on topic, I want to say one thing about that. George Lucas has literally given money on a silver platter with all the scripts for every few 20, 30 movies in advance. He had scripts written out.
Yeah.
Disney goes, fire pit, forget it. We don't want to do that. We don't own shit. We're gonna fuck it up. And that's all I'll leave it there. Yeah, go ahead. Pick up where we left off.
And I'm glad that Mr. Paul Bennett laid that thing out, because at least did a director who can at least bring back life in the Star Wars franchise. But for the Transformer, before Michael Bay, who was going to pick up the project? Nobody. Michael Bay told him to get a kick at it. So when I'm looking at the timeline of these 8 movies, so to speak, let me manage the last one that came out in 2024, Transformer 1. What's supposed to be first is the Bumblebee #6 movie in 2018 that supposed to be set in 1980. The Transformer Ride of the Beast 2023 was set to be in the 1990s, right? The fact that he did that bullshit, he destroyed certain characters in that movie, which pissed me off. The first movie was set on 2007, second one 2009, third one 2011, 2014, 2017. They messed up the storyline all of that. So if you want to find a director who is a die-hard fan of the franchise, who knows the storyline and knows the character, question is what direction you're going to take and how you going to pick the storyline. Because the biggest issue to doing the Transformer in live action are the two of the biggest characters, which it's hard to push out. Primus and Unicorn. Let's be real. I was curious how to go do that movie with Unicorn in the picture. And they did a shit show on that. Literally. For anybody who was part of the Transformer G1 era, Primus and Unicorn was very much of a very, very big deal. It had a huge impact in the whole storyline. Concerning dark and light, concerning the Autobot and Decepticon, concerning one about creation, one about destruction. It was a very, very big deal. And the fact that he did a crappy job with it, it kind of like you start to wonder, what are you going to watch? It's been another movie. I'm going to watch the Transformer 1 movie. I'm going to find out how I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I think we need to.
I hope.
Yeah, that's going to be my homework assignment. Yeah.
I hope I don't become a Wally 2.0.
You're an asshole.
Like I might end up being a 5.0 if I say it's that bad. Mm-hmm. While I was bad about criticizing something, I'm a habituated, because let's be honest, I'm a diehard fan of Transformers, but I didn't like what they did with the first 7 movies. That's a little bit pissed me off.
But you guys all you guys though, you guys marry too much, I think. See, even though again I talk about the old series or whatnot, you guys marry so much to that you can't appreciate it as a property. Like I talked about this with the comics a while back. And especially when you do comics to live action. Comics, you're allowed to do anything that you want. You take it at face value.
I get it.
But when it comes to movies, we all of a sudden talk about canon. And if it doesn't align with your canon, then all of a sudden it's the worst thing that would ever credit. Me, I watch a movie for what it is. I can watch it. Yes, like I said, even in the Transformer movies, there were certain things that I like, or a lot of movies, like I said, the Wolverine X-Men Origins movie. Again, I have very mixed feelings about it because there were certain things that I loved about the movie, loved it, and then there were other things I'm like, what are you doing? But I wasn't so married to canon that I couldn't appreciate it for what it was. So again, I'm going to watch Transformers 1 with a total open mind to say, okay, I'm going to take it for what it is. I'm not going to hearken too much to Transformers season 1 or 2 or whatever. It's going to be what it is. And I'm going to measure the movie on it. Now, again, how it fits in with the rest of the series or the canon, whatever, that's to come afterwards. But I'm just going in with an empty cup. And I'm going to see what they're going to fill that cup with. I can take it or leave it, but again, that's always been my approach to a lot of these films. Because again, even in film, you have creative license to do things a little bit differently.
I get it.
And I don't think that should only be that of the comics or the anime or the whatever to make those calls. Again, we just saw how many Transformers series there have been that are radically different from one another. You have Japanese versions, you have Americanized versions, you have all these things that are going on. Again, you got to take it for what it is. My only thing is, even with that, even despite the diversity of the producing, I think it's still too much. It's like I'm transforming out, and I can't. It's very difficult to. Yeah, I mean, and quite frankly, for the rest of my life, I don't need any more. Give me a couple of the movies, the live action movies, seasons 1 and 2, and that's basically all the Transformers I mostly need. I don't need, and I'll even take the 1986 movie, even though I didn't like Children of the Death of Prime and all that. Throw that in there too. That's all the Transformers I need. I'm not one of these guys I have to read. I've never read like every comic. I've never read every incarnation of everything. I kind of get like the broad strokes, and then all the nuance you want to play with, hit this, that, third, different details here and there, whatever. It's still, again, as long as it kind of hits the notes I'm familiar with, it's like a song. You can do covers, right, of a song. Now, again, there's always going to be the original, which is probably the best, but every once in a while, someone does a cover version that's, hey, you know what? That's pretty good. That's a good original take on it. But to me, it's still the same song. I don't need to hear every cover of every song. I kind of know what the song is, and more times than not, I'm an originalist. Like usually the original is going to be the best unless that on that rare occasion where someone does it better. There have been musicians who've done songs, redone songs that I like the way they did it better than the original. A lot of times they put a bit snazzier, a bit more bombastic or whatever on the song. I mean, there have been, like Shaka Khan, I Feel For You, that the way that song starts. Shaka Khan. I mean, what's that?
Give you a better example. The House of the Rising Sun. That song has been remade so many times.
Yeah,
so many different bands.
Yeah,
for different reasons.
Right. But back to Shaka Khan, like I Feel For You. I didn't know Prince did that. And I know Prince fans were like kind of that's a totally different. That's a different animal right there. Prince fans, I don't even like to mess with those people. I know Eric, he's a huge Prince guy. I'll leave a lot of that. I'm a casual when it comes to Prince. And like Prince can do no wrong. But I honestly prefer Shaka Khan's version of I Feel For You over Prince's. That's blasphemy to that community, but look, some people just do stuff better, you know.
Everybody has their own
But it's
opinion.
still the same song. It's still this. So again, I don't need 31 varieties of the Transformers or any other movie or franchise or entity. Just give me I like regular Coke. Remember when Coke, they came out with new Coke, classic Coke, then went back to old Coke or whatever. Just give me Coca-Cola, man. Only these days I only drink Coke Zero. So that's it. But remember they had like 5 different Cokes. They had caffeinated, uncaffeinated, new
Caramel.
Coke, old, and then they said the classic, the old Coke was the classic Coke at one time. It's like, nah, just give me.
They had a
Just give me Coke, man.
you had a caramel Coke, you had a cherry Coke.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all. In fact, you can go now. Like you go to like some of these restaurants, they have all these Coke. Like you can really dial it up. If you go to Burger King or whatever, you can dial it up. They got 20 different
And McDonald's did the
varieties
same
of
thing.
Coke.
Oh, I hate that machine.
And then some
so
people
bad.
mix it, right? It's like, okay, give me a
Same
little
thing
this, a little
McDonald's.
that, and this, and
Same
that.
thing McDonald's. They had that machine where you just make the match how you want your drink to be. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like,
David,
but at the
all
end
you
of, at
guys
the
don't
end of the day,
understand. That's a nightmare machine. That machine
Yeah.
breaks down so much. The capsule this small, the CO2
Yeah.
that comes in, and every time I go, I was like, oh, it's not working again.
yeah.
Fucking
imagine the one in
My thing
Manhattan
is
near Times Square. How that is.
just give me the real thing. Or like I said, zero. Now I'm different now because I've had so much zero. I can't drink regular Coke anymore. It's like it's too thick. It's too sweet. Whatever. It's Coke Zero is like that's the only thing we really drink over here. But that's it. I mean, I don't need to everyone just again wants to just take something that's good and just repackage it, reformat it, try to do something new to create a new audience. You don't have to do that. And sometimes you have to just say, you know what? Leave this alone. Create something else. Companies own different properties. You can do water or something, or do some other drink or some new something there, but don't mess with the brand. Don't mess with they say that Coke formula is like one of the biggest trade secrets in the world. The Coke formulation it's like it's so secret that it's like it's like getting through Fort Knox to try to find that thing.
And
So again,
yet, they're losing to Pepsi right now globally.
Maybe, but I'm just saying. But even then, it's
the biggest reason Coke and Pepsi wars right now. Pepsi's winning customer service. I deal with them all day at work. Pepsi has the better customer service. I call them up, I go, can I place an order? Or I go online and place an order. I don't have to wait. They're not union, number one. And I'm not saying use a bad thing, but if it's a holiday, shut down. A snow flurry, shut down. Rain, shut down. I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, he sprained his toe, shut down. He broke a nail, shut down. I'm like, do you guys ever work? No.
But my thing is, I'm glad you mentioned this because shout out to Jedi Mike and Wale Rio of the Critic Nation when you very hard critic. Because growing up, when you didn't have time to chase girls, we were chasing book, we were chasing series that would get our interest where we be able to nerd out. But I see it as you don't take a franchise and you murder like you did the G.I. Joe. The G.I. Joe franchise after 2 movies would have take my battleship moment. First one was the second one was more like, okay, let's nuke that battleship. We're not gonna do another one again. They did transform us so bad. It was so much like they abused it, knowing that they abused it. It was more like a Diddy case to me. That's how I see it. Now, you say you want no more Transformer. I say I don't want to see another one ever again because see, you go do a live action movie of anything, I need to know who the director is, what's his background. Is he a true lover of the franchise or is it another opportunity? How much money can make off? That's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
We talked about movies and series or trilogy like we did the last week. They have around 2 debate. I wanted to do a while they debate on that part. But the way I see the Transformer franchise based on live action, Let it go. Don't do no
Yeah.
more. You have butchered it more than enough.
Yeah.
And it's very hurtful because imagine the first movie and people talk about it. They may not want to watch the second one but it felt like it was just unnecessary. The second one rubbed them off even worse. That they make a new
Let me ask you.
movie. It was kind of like the anticipation watch the next one and keep on dropping. That's the issue. It didn't feel like they take the time to perfect the craft and make a good movie so people can enjoy the watch. That's okay.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta go because you like the name, because it's a franchise. And we don't care if you mess with the storyline, but you still gotta watch
Yeah. Let me ask you guys something. Certainly, as we start to wind this down, can you name a, say, either a cartoon franchise series that has not been brought to live animation that's on your wish list? If they were going to redo if they were going to do something live action, what would that be? And again, it can't be. I know some of us are niche. It can't be too niche that nobody's heard of it, or what have you. But if they were going to do something live action, what's on your wish list in terms of properties that they would consider doing and bringing to, whether it goes to the big screen or not, or whether it's on Netflix or whatever. That's certainly that's debatable. But what would you want to see that has not been yet? That's like, oh man, they need to do this.
Honestly, I will take the worst Cybertron, the 2 games. Hang on, David, because those games were fucking good. I'm talking about the gameplay. I mean the storyline behind it. And make that in a fucking movie. I won't change nothing about that. I might tweak it a little bit, like maybe add a little more characters, more fight scenes, stuff like that, because it's going to be in live action versus you're playing. That was a real backstory. The War of Cybertron and something else. I can't remember what the other one is. I have to look it up right now. That's what I would do.
It's very difficult. I'll take on 2 iconic cartoons from the same era that came out. Either the Silverhawk or the Star Ranger, either one of those 2. But in my back of my mind, I'm trying to figure out how would they pull this one off without destroying what we love about it. Either that or one that could fall in their range. It should be easy, but could have been done a long time ago. It Cops.
Who?
COPN with a dot in between. Cops.
I think I vaguely remember that.
This was where a futuristic version where there's a police department whereby some people have cybernetic arms, some have a cybernetic door doing some.
Oh, that. I remember that.
That thing felt like it can be done live action. Question is, how would it pull off?
Good question.
Because there's a lot of cartoon / anime from our time in the 80s that I'm looking through in my head. And the first thing comes to mind, how could I do the live action without butchering it? Would be a little easier to be done. Star Ranger, no, the Galaxy Rangers. That one felt like I don't think that's possible. I was looking for something that would be easier to do because then you're able to do the Terminator properly well. You're able to do Robocop in a way. So that one, the cops should be able to be done at least without going overboard. Because I don't have so much faith in American movie production without being authentic, without butchering franchise. So they have a good track record of butchering it anyway. To begin with. That is the scary. If now you talk about someone outside the United States does that, then the high check will be done properly. Because, like I
think
said,
from yeah.
Go ahead.
I think for me, Now I know they're coming out with a He-Man movie, which again, the Dolph Lundgren one notwithstanding,
Is that
I am
actually a
interested
fact
to
or
see.
is it a rumor right now?
From what I understand, Masters of the Universe 2026. They have their cast, so they're supposed to be coming out with it. So again, I'll see what they do with it. But honestly, if like my dream list, like my wish list, if they were going to animate something, I would say Thundercats. I mean, live action.
Oh no.
Thundercats live action. After you see stuff like what was the movie with the what's that big Avatar and what they're able to do with certain things or whatever.
I get you.
I
get you
wouldn't
on
mind.
that.
I wouldn't mind seeing something similar to
Oh,
that as a concept.
ladies and
And again,
gentlemen,
it's already got the name recognition. So again, you already, like I said, you can't just do some property. Thundercats is pretty. You got a generation there, and even today, you got people who follow it. So I'm just saying, if they decide to go live action, I'd be like, all right, at least I got to check it out.
ladies and gentlemen, please, after this show, if you think they can do Thundercat live action, put your comment if you believe they can. If not, please explain why. They should not
Actually,
touch
I'm on Paul's side. I think Thundercats can be it. Thundercats, Voltron, I think is another one that they can do a really good job.
Mhm.
Mask, I think they can do another good job.
Max should be done.
Yeah. Saber Rider and Star Sheriff is another good one. I think they would be able to do it. And
Mhm.
Silverhawks. That's where I'll leave it up to them.
Yeah.
Silverhawks is going to be a difficult one because there's a lot of CGI. And if they don't have a good CGI guy, it will flunk.
Yeah.
And why you think actually they either want the cops? A lot of these live
I don't
action.
think cops are going to be that easy, bro.
No, think about it. A lot of these live action that you're acting for, there's a huge percentage of CGI gonna be added, and you're not sure if they're gonna butcher it or not. That's what I'm looking at. If I mentioned cop to be easy, Saber and the Star Saber,
What about
maybe
Defenders of the Earth?
Thundercat. Oh boy, I'll be real with you. The only thing that Omega got close to doing it properly is the last adaptation of Thundercat did in Cartoon Network for season 1, and they dropped the ball for not doing season 2. Believe me when I say the internet was on fire for that. They were cursing out Cartoon Network heavy for that. Now to do live action, I'm not sure you want a director home to be in the US. Make sure he come from outside the country so they don't look for him.
Mhm. Or what about in the middle? Maybe not so much live action, but CGI. So in other words, it's like an anime, an 3-dimensional animation. It has all of the look of like Alita the Battle Angel or something like that. Like something where the characters
I would suggest
they're
hiring
and
a Japanese
they look they don't look human per se, but they're in a world where they have fur, whiskers move and things that. What about something like that in the middle? If you didn't want like an actor actually playing them, but fully CGI, but definitely in a universe that looks more live action than not. Is that a good compromise?
About a live movie, Paul.
I would say hire a Japanese production team on that one because they will do it better than American production team because I'm not trying to be shady on it, but when it comes to the Japanese production team, the mindset of perfection is built in them. They don't want to put no crappy ass part without perfecting their craft, make sure it's done out properly. But when you talk about anyone besides non-Japanese, like American, then I'm gonna be worried, I'm gonna be concerned. How far would you go about it?
Question: what about Captain Planet?
Captain Planet? Oh boy. Oh boy.
I don't know if it's big enough. That's the thing. I'm like think about it. You have to go into a studio. You're gonna have to go to some studio heads and sell this idea. So what has more name ID? What has more brand recognition? Thundercats or Captain Planet? I'm just saying it's Thundercats. Most of those guys you go into the studio with, they grew up watching Thundercats.
unless you had the team that do the God of War game to do that part into a movie, because like God of War was one of the best games. It looked like
No, when you guys were talking about movies, which one I thought it'd be like a CGR slash kind of movie. If they do like a Thundercats like that, yes. Voltron 50-50 mix, yes. It's gonna be hard to get it right in the middle.
I could see them doing Voltron full live action though, almost like what they did with Pacific Rim, kind of like
That's why I
I,
want
the
like
I,
giant
I,
robot,
okay,
something like that. I could
I
see
see your
them doing
angle.
that with Voltron for sure.
I see your
I can see
angle on
it
like
that.
Gargoyles, for example, a very successful series.
Oh
It
God!
only
Oh
has
no!
3 seasons.
No!
Hang on. That can be a good movie if you have a good script, a good director. Simple as that. But except that, let's get into our final thoughts.
Go be a good way.
Hang on. You're always in a hurry. You got a high date or something tonight, man?
I'm
Chill.
hungry.
You're in New York. I don't care. All right, David, go first.
Final thought. This is a good conversation, but my thing about the idea of Optimus Prime, I feel Optimus Prime could have been done better because he wanted a great character in being produced throughout the 80s, bring up now. I feel they could have done a much better job. That was my thing why I criticized this reign. But if they were to do another movie, live action, I'm gonna be very typical. Don't screw up the character because the character have a persona that needs to be done justice. Now all these other ideas for live action, I'm scared because whenever they take it into my childhood, it's in our childhood, the 80s childhood happened on the chopping block for butcher. I'm not too happy about. So I'm not sure it'll be possible. Maybe you can prove me wrong. Shout out to John Mike. If you think I'm wrong for thinking that way, give me put in the comment saying why I'm wrong and please explain the detail. But I know some people like Wale, like John Mike, and people who do critics about certain things who understand why I think they should be careful about certain childhood franchise. Thundercat going live action, well, you had to convince me they're not going to screw it up. That about the thing. But other than that, it has been a great conversation. I want you guys to put your comment and think what you think about the show and what you think about live action, the adaptation, or wherever that came from your childhood. Should be a good read on that. That is my final thought.
No, good show. I know I came in a little heated. I still think the besmirching of Optimus Prime will never be tolerated on the Sparta HQ network. So I had to come in and feel my guy. Like I said, I think he's arguably the greatest hero ever conceived in any cartoon, any franchise, any comic or whatever. I think he is the epitome of leadership, calm, assertive, meek leadership. And I think there's no surprise that he's been certainly a character looked at very affectionately for 40 something years. So again, I love Optimus Prime, and more in particular, sort of Peter Cullen. Again, we don't know how long we're going to have him. We don't know if certainly with Transformers 1, if that means basically the end of an era, where I don't know if he'll be used in future properties, which would be unfortunate. But again, like I said, everybody gets old and everybody has their time. But just like Mel Blanc or any of these famous voice actors from back in the day, he's certainly iconic and definitely very memorable. And and it's crazy. I still think the story is still what amazes me is the most, that his brother hit him up just before he goes for the interview, and how history was literally made just based on a pep talk with his brother that gave us Optimus Prime as we know him, the Optimus Prime. So certainly, I appreciate what Peter Cullen has given to us through the Transformers series in the and again the consistency. If I had to give the franchise any credit outside of Beast Wars and some of these other properties, again, Prime has been the glue that has held this thing together. And I think that's certainly something that I think we all need to appreciate and recognize. In terms of, like I said, the live action, like I said, I can take a step back and do a fully CGI with like really lifelike, like I said, looking at Avatar, like I said, as an example, using real life type of figures in that kind of world or universe, I could certainly see that being pulled off. And again, Thundercats, again, I'm thinking about if you go into that studio and have to sell to those executives, that's one word. That's half the sell. All these other franchises and properties and whatnot, they're either not going to know or they don't think it's going to work. But Thundercats are still up there in terms of, not only memory, but also in fellowship. So I think, that's certainly a property and intellectual property that I think we can still do some things with and flesh it out to certainly to a large extent. So yeah, again, good combo, and certainly looking forward to future discussions in the future.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Hate it, love it. It's here. Your opinion is your opinion. But I'll have one more thing for Paul of his comment. The Jetsons should be a live action one. Just think about it. Get back to me.
Maybe.
All right. Let's do a quick schedule update. Tomorrow night on the gray area here on the Spartan SQ Network and the BMU Network, we are talking about I just had it. The code switch, sellout or smart survival. I'm gonna leave it to that. And now we'll come back on Tuesday after we'll get a 1 day off from streaming. Is stop judging others. You heard me right. We're gonna have that conversation. I'm looking forward to it. And David, you want to talk about your show on Thursday? I mean Wednesday. Excuse me.
Wednesday. We talk about a unique anime franchise catered to the nerdy aspect of science and technology and discovery, or Dr. Stone. This is a franchise that kind of got a unique following, fun, energetic, and I hate to say it, educational on a higher level. It's kind of like an anime that it kind of like give you the blueprint how to build something and make it fun to watch, but also educating as well. So we should have a good time discussing this. We'll do season 1. There are actually 4 seasons to this right now. We'll discuss season 1 and the detail behind it and the science behind it as well, because this is one of those type of anime. I'll be talking about why anime is different from cartoon. It's not about just mix up any different out there. It's dealing with real fact and information and science on top of it. But it's cool. I'm gonna spill too much, but you wait on that day to enjoy the show.
And you're back on with Thursday with Paul. Paul, you want to take over from here?
Yeah. So again, the Thursday show will be again on the power of words, and again that was that might have been a title from the last show, but again, we're going to reuse that for this show coming up. So again, power of words, and again, how changing the words that you use can certainly lead to a more successful outcomes through using that. So definitely happy for the first show. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. And again, please send us feedback on how we can certainly make the show better. But certainly looking forward to it.
And when we come back on the Hangout on Saturday with Terminator, the Simmering Legend. I'm looking forward to that conversation. So, except that, David, last words?
Last word on Terminator. Please bring your facts so we will start fact checking. All right.
Only thing I'm going to say, Skynet is real.
AKA Elon Musk, we don't need a skyline. Bye.
Actually, believe it or not, there actually is a company actually has the name. The Skynet is real, but not AI. It's a different format they used it.
I know.
Anyway, Mr. President,
I'm good.
All right, I am the Spartan from the SQ Network. He is Black David. He is Mr. President. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.